So, hello to everyone. Welcome back to our weekly talks about artwork. As someone knows, I'm Rossella Bellan, co-founder of Nartwork. And the last month, we launched a call for artists, Limitless, and it the last the 1st of May. We have received a high number of applications from artists of each part of the world. Tomorrow we will announce the select artist, but I would like to say thank you to all of artists and good luck. So today we are going to discuss about art market and how the artists can improve their sales and which aspects are important for their careers. We will do it with two special guests, Davide Fabbro, art expert in evaluation on artworks, and Cristiana Cordova, museologist, graduate from the University of Manchester. So please, Cristiana, go on.
Hi, Davide. So we wanted to ask you, in your work, we know that you appraise works of art and especially the old masters. But we would like to know more specifically, how do you assess the price of an old master? And if now that we're talking about emerging artists as well, so which indicators are used to establish the price of their works? So how do we recognize a valuable artist?
Good question. Very difficult. In the old master, there are a lot of problems. Imagine when you see an old master and you ask yourself, what is value now? The value of a Caravaggio, for example, or a Michelangelo Buonarroti is very difficult. Sometimes the people say, I see the technical skills about the artist. I compare the artist of the same period, of the same era, but it's very difficult to establish a price or value, because price and value are totally different. Okay, imagine if you ask me the price of, I don't know, a Leonardo, a Salvator Mundi, I don't know. The value, I don't know, because it's possible that it's zero or $100 million. I don't know. Why? At first, because it's possible that it's not a Leonardo. We are not sure about the truth, the story about the symbolic meaning of the artworks. But imagine when you are in front of this paint, you can imagine the story, but you are not sure. Okay, imagine that. I use one techniques, but it's difficult to explain because it's a method, it's a mathematics model. Okay, for example, there are repeat sales regression is a model. You can see the price of the same artist, the same period, the same artworks in a period. For example, 5 years, 10 years. Imagine. When the Salvator Mundi, the first time was sell at, I don't remember, I think $5 the first time, and now is 400 millions. Okay.
Yeah.
My method is use variables and compare repeated sales. Yes, also with data, public data that you can observe in the journal, in the website, for example, or search data. Okay.
Yeah, but this is the way for the old master, you say, yeah? That you use it. So you think that is completely different for the emergent artist?
Imagine is different. Why is different? Because emerging artists has not sales,
Yeah.
has not historical data. Okay, the whole master we have a lot of historical data, 5, 6, 7, 8, 100 sales repeat.
Yeah.
The emerging artist is completely different. You have to decide the target of
Yeah.
the to establish the price. The target is, for example, sale, depends, or for example, a generational passage is completely different. The evaluation, establish the price is completely different because the nature of the artworks is completely different. Okay, how I recognize the valuable artist? I think that to recognize is not important that you come from the artist world. I think that you have to communicate with the artist. You have to recognize yourself inside the artwork of the artist. Is the symbolic meaning, the powerful of the artist is very very difficult to recognize an artist. The value, but the price is an economic noun. When you establish the price, you see the market, not only the artist and what you feel.
Yeah.
Price is the market decide the price, and this is the problem because the market is changing now. In this moment, is completely different from 3 months ago, for example.
And on this note, in fact, the market is now having some problems because we see from the latest studies that there's so much less trust in the market, that we as buyers need to buy from reliable sources. But how can an independent artist that is not represented by a gallery, for example, sell their work or highlight the value of their work? So, yeah, how can we minimize the perceived risk?
I think that the gallery are this is the offer. Is the offer is not the artist that offer the artwork, but the gallery now. The gallery is a shop a place where at first you have to communicate the value of the artist and establish the price of the artist with the communication. The communication is important. The risk is that the communication is not good or is false. You can overestimate an artwork because the seller is a very good seller, and the shop is a very good shopper, but not a good artist. Okay, you have not in front a good artwork or a good artist, but you have a good seller. This is the real problem, because I ask you, have you ever see a risk in what you buy in a gallery? Okay, why?
Yeah.
Have you ever see a risk?
Yeah.
Why? This is the artwork. Okay, you have in front of you the artwork, and you decide if you buy or not. Okay, and the seller is the seller.
Yeah.
The seller is good. The artwork is good. Maybe after your acquisition, you have to know to see a lot of comparison, okay, with this artist. But in the moment when you decide to buy, you are there. It's an emerging artist, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And decide what's your risk. The risk is how much I want to spend.
And
Okay, how much I want to pay this paint? This is the good question.
So you would advise to current emerging artists and buyers of emerging artists to buy the artists in the present, so not that much looking at the future, so that the artists should like promote today like their current value rather than their future potential.
Promote the value is difficult because you have to hire a good artist, but also a good communicator. And it's difficult to explain your heart with the words. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Or with for example, an interview. Or I think that the real talent of an artist is communicate with their or his artwork, not with a paper on artwork. I think that discover the symbolic meaning of the artist is the key to start a good a good growing in to promote their artworks and their reputation. Okay,
Yeah.
communicate is sell, but is not art. Is another kind of art. Is not the art that the artists want to show. Okay.
Yeah.
Is a
In this particular point, what advice would you give to the artists for promote themselves and from Jeff?
a lot of things, but I think that at first to be himself, to
Yeah.
choose to be an artist, to choose to be a creator, okay, a creator of something, of of a new thing, of something new. I don't know, but I think that the meaning
Yeah.
it's be in yourself, be himself. The artist be himself, and don't sell. And don't sell is imagine his personality to the market. I think that the real buyer that spend a lot of money to buy an artwork, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that see is the artist sell itself or not. This is the key to promote the art. The network is important, yeah. The communication is important, okay. But I think that if I see an artist that creates something and thinks only to itself, I think that is a dream. It's like a dream. It's like when a baby born is the same. It's a creation, okay, but of the soul of himself. To be himself is show himself with the hard works at first and after with a good communication, but not too strong. It's not an advertise, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's communicate. It's different. And if you want a good communication, I think that you have to ask to an expert that help you to show your soul inside the artwork, because you sell the artworks, but inside the artworks there is the artist.
Yeah.
I had maybe a different point of view, because I agree with what you say, but at the same time, I feel that some of the artists that have made history, somehow they have been exploiting probably the trend in a way that might also be similar to marketing. It's not that I'm advising this in any way to any artist, but I think that, you know, in some respects, somehow it can happen that the line between marketing or something that it's very visually appealing, and art might blur sometimes. Because I'm thinking about, for example, Jeff Koons, that he has made his, his empire on Kitsch and all of that, like visuals and all of that kind of appeal. And that made him huge. Of course, it's not the only factor in his career, but I think it's one of the major factors as well.
The things that conduce a buyer to buy something, buy an artwork, are very, very, very strange. Sometimes are typical, like marketing, like a good communication, like a good presentation, or a historical meaning, and other things, and reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes are emotion, simple.
Yeah. And I think it also depends probably if you are buying, it needs to fit in your own collection, because there's plenty, for example, of collectors who only buy political art, for example. So they go for the deep meaning instead of superficiality. So,
Yeah.
But the question is, what is the heart? Or an artwork, what is? When you say, this is an artwork, I don't know. For me, a composition is an artwork. But I think that the reason that move the players inside this market because it is a market, are different, totally, and not comparable. And I think that estimate or evaluate an artwork is very difficult when there are a lot of variables that are very, very different and strange in the same time. You can every evaluation is different. The evaluator choose the best variables for the artwork, the market, the artist, and the time, the hero, the situation. There is not one method. There are a lot of that you can use. For example, another method, very, very strange, but that hit the target, okay, is ask, give me how much you want to spend, how much you want to pay for these artworks. Offer you. The museum route, for example, the museum route, if you show your artwork inside a museum route, okay, that are famous, you reach a position in the market, okay, that you can use to raise the price.
Yeah. Sometimes there is a CV also for the artworks that in every place that you have show the artwork. So sometimes it's very important also for the works.
If an artist appears in a biennale in Venice, and the artist is famous, not because the artwork is good, is beauty, is particular, but because the museum has chosen you.
Yeah.
Evaluate. It's important. Establish the value is difficult. I think that you can translate. You can translate the value in a words. Okay, success, for example. Success, 10 points, 8 points, 7 points, 4 points. If you go to Biennale, you obtain 8 points. It's a rating model, okay? But it's not a value model. It's a rating model inside a typical process of evaluation of rising in the career of the artist.
Okay, guys, so it's enough. Thank you, Davide. Thank you, Cristiana. And see you next time. Bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.